So we're going to go ahead and get started. My welcome and congratulations on being a part of the University of Minnesota community. We are excited to have you as a Minnesota Gopher, which is our team mascot, as our school mascot. This is being recorded today. The reason it's being recorded is that then we can put this on the website for other people who weren't able to join this webinar. My name is Beth Eisenstein, and I'm Assistant Director of International Student and Scholar Services, also known as ISSS, or sometimes called ISSS. This goal of this webinar is to officially welcome you to our community and answer some of your key questions and invite you to additional events that are specifically designed for international grad and professional students throughout the month of August. This webinar is co-sponsored by, with the Graduate School. We have incredible partners at the Graduate School who are here to support you. While the speakers today work in different offices at the university, our goal is the same, is that we want to welcome and support you in becoming a part of the University of Minnesota community, regardless of where you are in the world or where you end up studying and joining the university from in the fall. So I'm going to go ahead and share what the other events are that are happening in August. So if we can go to the next slide. Today is the first of several events that are designed for you. The next, we have today's webinar, and then we also have a webinar on August 4th, which will be, it's the grad student professional, the grad and professional student resources. We'll talk about ISS resources. We'll be talking about health, housing, and health insurance. And then starting August 5th, we will be launching the Global Gopher events. And so you will be receiving information about the Gopher events in multiple emails, and we really hope you can join those events. And the last thing I want to highlight is August 18th, we have a student organization called the Council of International Graduate Students. So people who really very much can relate to your current situation right now. And they're going to be doing a virtual meet and greet so they can get to know you and be there for you to just answer questions. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, we missed the flyer. Okay, that's great. So we will be sending more information about all of those events and specifically about the Council of International Graduate Students meet and greet. So now on to the webinar. So we were going to start with a special welcome from our dean, from our vice, I think it's vice provost and dean of the graduate school. Of graduate education, Scott Lanion. So he'll be welcoming you, and then you'll be hearing from our assistant dean director, Dr. Barbara Kapler. Key staff from the graduate school and international students will then share some key information updates. And then at that end, and we hope to hold 30 minutes at the end to talk about the questions that you pre-submitted for this webinar. So we'll have 30 minutes to do that. A few things to know is that you can submit additional questions in two ways. The primary way is through using the chat function, which is how you said hello this morning. This will help us also record the questions that you are submitting. We will have the Q&A also available. That is primarily though for people who want to submit anonymous questions. So we asked if you want your question to be anonymous, but there, and then we will copy it over into the chat. But we'll be mainly following the chat. And just a reminder that we're going to review and we're mainly going to look at what the common questions were and answer those questions. If there's a question that is really specific to your situation, then we would reach out to you individually at a later time. Great, I think I've covered everything that we needed to share before we begin. So we'll go ahead and begin with a message from our Assistant Dean of International Student Scholar Services, Dr. Barbara Kapler. Barbara?
Greetings, everyone. I'm so glad that you're able to join us. My name is Barbara Kapler, and I'm Assistant Dean and Director for International Student and Scholar Services. I'm really pleased to be here to welcome you to this first in the series of forums that we are providing to new students like yourselves. Again, thank you for joining. I also want to begin by saying congratulations to each of you. I'm very excited for you for beginning your academic career at the University of Minnesota. I too chose the University of Minnesota for my graduate studies. I did both my master's and PhD at the University of Minnesota, and I found for myself the mix of theory and practice to be a really strong foundation that I continue to draw upon today. So welcome. I'd also like to say a few words about our department, International Student and Scholar Services, or ISSS. ISSS is the department on campus that works with all international students. Our role is to provide advising to students who have a visa to study in the United States, provide academic and personal counseling, and programs for all students. ISSS is here to support you. In this challenging time with so many unknowns, I want to take a moment and commend you for sticking to that decision to continue to pursue your academic dreams. We want you to know that our goal is for you to begin your fall semester ready for the academic journey. These webinars are part of that preparation. We have a fantastic team in ISSS, and I'm so pleased that we have staff here today from graduate school as well. Next, I'd like to introduce a message from Dr. Scott Lanion, who's Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Education. Thank you.
Serve as Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Education at the University of Minnesota. In other words, it's my privilege and honor to serve you. My colleagues and I are dedicated to helping you and the faculty and staff with whom you will be working here to ensure that you have intellectually stimulating and rewarding experiences throughout your graduate career. Now, being a graduate student is challenging at the best of times. Our job, after all, is to help you to be the absolute best scholar that you can be. And that requires tremendous effort on your part. But these are by no means the best of times. We're in the midst of a global pandemic. And at the same time, this country is hopefully finally addressing our issues of inequity. Please know that the University of Minnesota is dedicated to providing a healthy, equitable, and welcoming environment in which you can continue your scholarly studies. We're very happy that you've chosen to pursue your graduate training with us at the university. My colleagues and I aspire for the University of Minnesota to continue to be a great research institution, and we recognize that this can only be accomplished if our scholarly community includes individuals from diverse backgrounds, motivations, and lived experiences. I look forward to meeting you in person sometime in the hopefully not too distant future. Best of luck in your graduate careers.
Great. So thank you, Barbara, and it was great to also see the message from Scott. So now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to staff from the graduate school. We're going to introduce Nuru. Nuru, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and others?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nuru Andrea Manalina, and I'm Director of Academic and Professional Development for the Graduate School. I want to welcome you to this webinar and to say congratulations for choosing the University of Minnesota. I also went to the university for my doctorate and had a wonderful experience. So I know that you're going to enjoy our community. And you'll be getting messages from me throughout your academic program. So please make sure to read them I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of questions, and we're here to help. So I want to introduce Dean Santir, who is Director of Admissions at the University of Minnesota, and Suzanne Koroglu, who is our Program Director. And they have important information that they'd like to share with you from the graduate school side. So, Dean?
Thank you, Nuru. Good morning, everyone. It's a thrill to be online with you this morning, and it was very exciting to see all those countries rolling in the chat. So good morning. This is our favorite time of the year in the Graduate Admissions Office because we get to see, on a normal year, the international students that are just starting their careers with us. And while we're doing it remotely, we couldn't be more excited to still support you as best we can through this process. And so if we could advance the slide one. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So our role in the admissions office, you're probably already familiar with that. You were successful in the application for your program, and congratulations again on that. But we also support you through this crucial phase right now with where we partner with the international office, ISSS, as we support your matriculation to our campus, or in this year, different maybe modes of instruction for you as we discuss deferral options, distance options, and then of course, if we can get you here in the fall. And so right now, a lot of our work is focused on that for you and supporting you through this visa stretch as we head into the fall. Our partners in this, critical partners that I hope you're familiar with already, but I do realize that even this far into this stage, you might not be familiar with names in graduate programs. Many of you are, but I know some programs and departments you might not be. And so on this presentation, in the PowerPoint here, or in the deck, hopefully you will have access to this later where you can get a link. You can find this through our admissions office website, but I wanted to point you towards this, specifically this resource, this Graduate Programs at a Glance, is where you will find contact information. And I'm highlighting what we call the GPC, the Graduate Program Coordinator, for every single program that we have at the University of Minnesota. Will have a staff member that their job is to communicate with you and be available with you through all facets of your matriculation and enrollment, and guide you through your career as a graduate or professional student. So again, graduate program coordinators are who you want to be connecting with, along with us in the central office, as we, again, support you as you matriculate this fall. And the Director of Graduate Studies is another important role at your program or department, and that would be a faculty member who is serving a leadership role as well. And their contact information is also listed on this resource. And of course, we would like you to connect with them as well. But we can say from experience that the staff contact that we have here will probably, in general, be a bit more responsive because that is their primary role. Faculty, as you know, have many different roles. And so they're quite busy people. So it may be a day or two before they can respond. Usually these GPCs will get back to you very quickly. So two other very important people for you are our assistant directors in the graduate admissions office, Jim Rowan and Suzanne Koroglu. So again, hopefully these are familiar names to you. Jim could not join us here today, so he's the one on the right down here next to Goldie Gopher. Very, very friendly staff member of ours who loves working with international students. He's very responsive and supportive. And Suzanne Koroglu is a 20+ year expert in immigration advising. She comes from ISSS and is really guiding us through this phase that we're in right now. So I'd like to introduce you to both of them. Make sure you have their contact information. Hopefully you've been connected with them already, but you probably will be as we go forward and you have visa questions. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Suzanne.
Thank you, Dean. As he mentioned, my name is Suzanne Koroglu, and looking through the chat, I see many, many names that I recognize from creating your and signing your I-20 documents. That's really fun to see. Maybe some of you, if you are an F1 student, will recognize my name as well, or as Dean noted, Jim signs a lot of I-20s also. So Jim and I are really your primary contact for I-20 and F1 visa questions prior to your arrival in Minnesota. And then after you arrive, the primary contact for your immigration questions shifts over to the International Student and Scholar Services Office. Dean mentioned I used to work there, and we work very closely with them during this time in particular, when you're transitioning from getting admitted, confirming your enrollment, requesting your documents, and planning your travel to the US. And then once you arrive, you'll work primarily with ISSS. And I will likely be the one to answer many of your questions that are occurring right now in a few minutes when we get to the Q&A portion. But for now, I will turn it over to, I think, Teresa Gangle-Gossam-Louie from ISSS is going to introduce herself next.
And Suzanne, thank you. I am going to introduce myself next. So I'm Teresa Gangle-Gossam-Louie, and I'm the Assistant Director for Advising, and I head up the F1 visa area. I also want to welcome you on behalf of the advising team at ISSS. We are ready to help you navigate all the complexities of immigration once you arrive. And as you know, the immigration environment has been very complex and very fluid over these last several months. And it was just this past Friday on July 24th that the Student Exchange Visitor Program came out with the latest guidance for fall. We're going to continue to monitor all future changes, and as changes are made, we'll be communicating those to you. We have a frequently asked questions page for new students on our website. And if you haven't visited it yet, I encourage you to do that. So I want to start by just sharing some of the information that was provided in the July 24th SEVP frequently asked questions for F1 students. And I do want to stress that this is really for F1 students. New students are eligible to apply for a visa and to enter the US as long as they are not going to be registered for 100% online courses. University of Minnesota did communicate that we're going to be a hybrid model for the fall, and the university will be supporting you to help you meet that requirement. You can definitely work with your academic advisor to review your registration options if you have any questions about whether or not you're registered appropriately. Prior to your visa interview, we recommend that you obtain an updated I-20, certifying that you will be taking courses that are not entirely online. And some of you already have that I-20. If you haven't, we recommend that you contact the office that issued your initial I-20 for the University of Minnesota. Most likely that's going to be the graduate school, but for some professional school students, that might be ISSS. And you can find that out by looking at the bottom page of your I-20, the first page. We've been contacted by some students who've indicated that they've been successful in receiving their visas and in entering the US. And we're monitoring this situation and definitely want to know if you are having visa problems or if you experience any kind of difficulty at the port of entry. Another point that I want to make is that the SEVP guidance clarified that should the university change from a hybrid program to all online courses during the fall semester, that all international students who are in the US will be able to remain in the US and continue to maintain their F1 status. They will not have to return home. And that was something that was originally proposed in early July, but it's gone away and we're thankful for that. Current students in the US, which includes transfer students can maintain their F1 status while taking 100% of their classes online in the fall. So that's a little bit of an update, and I'm going to turn it back to Beth.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad everyone had a chance to introduce themselves and give a brief overview of their roles within the university. And thank you, Teresa, for the update on the latest SEVP guidance. So we're going to go ahead and begin our question and answer session. Just a few reminders as we go into it. Reminder that we will be looking at the pre-submitted questions first and looking at the most common questions that were submitted. If you have additional questions you want to submit, you please go ahead and do that in the chat function. And again, we will try, we might not be able to address all questions based on time, but also if something is very specific to your individual situation, we may follow up with you afterwards. So we have two people who will be, oh, and again, of course, you can put it in the Q&A if you want it to be anonymous. That's another option. So we have two people who will be asking the questions, and then we have two people who will be answering the questions. So we have an advisor from ISSS, Hussein Bandi, who will be asking the immigration questions to Teresa. And then we have Nuru will be asking all other questions to whichever panelist is best able to answer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pass it over. We didn't decide this, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Nuru to go ahead and ask the first question of the panelists.
Thank you, Beth. So this first question is to Dr. Kapler. Do we need to be quarantined after traveling into the United States?
Thank you. I know this is a really important question for everyone to be making their plans. So we are following the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in the United States, that is advising all those entering the United States from another country to self-quarantine for 14 days. Self-quarantine means that you are living in your own housing and that you are limiting and avoiding contact as much as possible with others. Self-quarantine, these directions will be made available to you on our FAQ. They are being finalized by our Safe U program at the university that is helping us as a campus to share information in response to COVID. But I want you to know that with the self-quarantine, that as long as individuals do not have symptoms, that you are able to leave the housing and do shopping for groceries and basic supplies. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kapler. Next question. If I can't arrive for fall semester, what can I do?
I believe that's a question for me. Many students have been wondering about this due to the uncertainty surrounding getting an F1 entry visa because consulates have been closed, as well as finding flight arrangements to come into the United States. One thing I would like to mention, I'm sure that many of you are already doing this, but we are encouraging you to please keep reaching out to your local US consulate if you have not been able to schedule a visa appointment. We know that many consulates in the world are engaging in a phased reopening of visa operations. And there are many consulates that are also taking emergency visa appointments for students who need a visa, either an F1, M1, or J1. But those policies, procedures, and protocols will vary depending on the country that you're in. So it really is incumbent upon you to be in contact with your local embassy to find out what is happening on the ground there. That said, if you aren't able to come for fall semester, in general, you have two options. One would be to take start your program and take your courses online from your home country. That is perfectly acceptable if that's something that you would like to do. Another option that many students are taking is to simply defer their admission. The difference between a deferral and starting your program is that if you defer, you won't take any courses, you won't start your program until a future semester. In both cases, your first contact should be your graduate program coordinator. That would be the person who is administratively in charge of your program that Dean mentioned earlier in his introduction. And you may work with your academic advisor as well to talk about, what it means to be an online student, or, deferring, and which option might be better for you. Once that decision is made, there will be some follow-up steps that you'll need to take to update your I-20 document, and that would be handled by Jim, Rowan, and myself in the graduate admissions office. I won't get into the specifics of how to do that. We'll follow up with you with specific instructions kind of once we know what the plan for fall is. I'll also add that it's okay if you don't know yet. Making a decision to defer your enrollment or to register online is not one that you need to do immediately. There is time for you to think about this. There's still time for you to try to get a visa appointment if that's something that you want to do. We can do a lot of the work that we need to do to sort out your I-20 very quickly. So please don't feel pressured to make this decision right away. There's still time, and if we don't know what you're going to do until the end of August, that's okay.
Great. Thank you, Suzanne.
All right, next I'll be asking a question for Teresa. If I study in my home country in the fall, will it affect my CPT or OPT eligibility?
Thanks for saying. Yes, new students who enroll in fully online classes from their home country will not be in active F1 status in the fall. And as a result, they're not going to accrue physical presence that relates to your F1 status. This means that you cannot begin accumulating the time towards the one academic year that's required for the curricular practical training or your CPT, which is basically the equivalent of an internship, or the optional practical training, the post-completion employment. So to be eligible for CPT or OPT, students have to have been enrolled continuously for one academic year in active F1 status. If you take classes from home online in the fall, the earliest that you can begin CPT is at the end of fall 2021.
What are the rules for deferring admission, and how can I defer my admission?
Okay, that's another question for the graduate admissions office. And I talked a little bit about deferrals in the previous question. So just to clarify, deferral means that you will not be enrolling in any courses for fall semester, and you'll postpone the start of your program until a future semester, either spring, summer, or fall. Always with deferrals, your first contact, again, is your graduate program coordinator. Individual programs have the authority to approve your deferral request, and many programs have policies specific to the program surrounding that. For example, some programs do not allow students to begin their program for spring semester, so you would need to wait until next fall. So all of those are questions that you need to direct to the individual program. I will also mention that many programs are being more flexible with their deferral policies too. So that is something that they're doing to accommodate students because of this new world that we are living in. You can, in terms of general university policy surrounding deferrals, there are very few. You can defer many times as long as your program approves of it. If you defer to spring and then you'd like to defer to fall, if you're not able to get here for spring semester, that's perfectly fine. Again, provided that your graduate program approves. There's no additional application fee that you would need to pay. Deferrals are all processed administratively between our office and your department. And you will always, if you're unable to arrive in the US by the program start date on your I-20 document, you do need a new I-20. Again, you will work with me and Jim Rowan to get a new I-20 document, but your Sevis ID number will not change. So many students are concerned about having to pay the Sevis fee again with a new Sevis ID, and you will not need to do that. And if you do already have an F1 entry visa in your passport, you would not need to return to the embassy to update that. It's just that physical paper document that needs to be changed. And that's it.
Thank you, Suzanne.
All right, next question is for Teresa. How can I satisfy the in-person requirement, and how many credits do I have to register for in the fall?
So the in-person requirement for new students in fall 2020 is that you enroll in at least one course, and it can be 1 credit. It has to have a minimum of 1 in-person requirement during the semester. So maybe it's just 1 class session. That would satisfy the requirement. So this is very broad, and students have a lot of flexibility in terms of meeting this requirement. The remainder of your classes can all be online. Again, you want to talk with your academic advisor if you're uncertain about, does this course meet the requirement or that course? Check with your academic advisor to make sure that the course you're considering is appropriate. I also want to mention that 6 credits is considered the full-time minimum for graduate students. Professional school students might have a higher credit requirement. Again, you'd want to check with your department if you're in a professional school. Normally, F1 regulations require that students limit their online course registration to 3 credits in a given semester to count towards their full course requirement. But that requirement has been relaxed for fall 2020. 1 course, minimum 1 credit, minimum 1 meeting, and you will satisfy the requirement to not be 100% online.
For Suzanne again. How can I learn about course registration, what classes I should take, and how courses will be delivered?
Once again, your graduate program coordinator is going to be your first contact for this. Course availability, whether they are online, in-person, hybrid, what you should be taking to satisfy the requirements of your program. All of this will vary depending on the individual program. And the other thing is that some programs may have an orientation session, or they may have you meet with your academic advisor to set your courses. In other programs, it's more independent and you search the catalog and identify courses that you would like to take. So it's really going to vary depending on where your academic home is. So again, start by going to your program's website, reach out to your graduate program coordinator, and they'll be the ones to help you through that process.
Thank you.
And another question for Teresa. I have not been able to make a visa appointment. What should I do if I want to study in the US this fall?
So this is similar to the question that Suzanne answered. Basically, embassies are beginning to open up around the world. They're not open in every single country. But because they are not opening all at the same time, we recommend that you check the embassy and or consulate where you think you'd like to go to apply for your visa, and check that regularly. If you're not finding appointment times, what you might want to do is expand your search a little bit and perhaps consider some other consulates that might not be the one nearest your home, but still possible for you to go there to apply for your visa. And as Suzanne said, there is the possibility as a student to apply for an emergency visa. And again, that varies a little bit from one consulate to the next, but generally if you are within the 30-day period that your program or the I-20 start date is within 30 days, you can try to request an emergency visa. We don't have a lot of information about exactly how that's working out. And the other thing that I do want to remind you is to be sure to bring the I-20 with you that has the certifying remarks about the university being hybrid, about your program being not 100% online, and ask the graduate school for that I-20 if you don't already have it, because that too will help speed things up.
Okay. Okay. For Suzanne, do I need to update my I-20 if I can't arrive for fall?
Yes. The key piece on your I-20 that needs to be updated if you're not going to travel into the US in August is that program start date. The F1 regulation states that you need to arrive in the US on or before that date. And so if that isn't possible, you will need to receive an updated document. Again, I've said this several times already, Jim Rowan and myself are responsible for issuing that document to you. And we have slightly different procedures for doing that depending on your situation. If you are going to be enrolling online for fall and need an I-20 that will allow you to enter before spring semester, if you're deferring your admission to a future term, or if you have a program start date that is August 26th, and you booked a flight for August 31st. In all of those situations, you do need some an update from our office, and so you will just contact us as well as your graduate program coordinator, and we'll guide you through that process.
Thank you.
If I obtain my visa and decide to study from my home country, will my visa be canceled?
So your visa, so that's the stamp in your passport, it will not be canceled if you decide to study from home in the fall. You'd be able to use that same visa to enter the United States in the spring or a future term. You do want to check to see what's the expiration date of the visa, but in general, it should allow you to use it in the spring semester, for example.
I think there's one more submitted question for ISSS.
Will I have to pay the $350 Sevis fee again if I postpone my on-campus study to spring semester?
So again, Suzanne addressed this, but I do want to mention that you can defer your Sevis fee and use it to apply for a future term. In fact, you have 12 months that fee is valid for. So if you end up deferring till spring and then change your mind and you decide to apply for summer, you would be able to still use that Sevis fee, and you would not have to pay that $350 again.
So now we're going to take questions submitted in the chat, and some of these could be for the graduate school. Some might overlap with immigration. So whoever feels most willing to take the question, please just do so. So is it safe to book the airplane ticket given the recent update from ICE in July 24th?
I'll go ahead and take that. I would say that if you have your visa, it's safe to book your airline ticket and come to the University of Minnesota for the fall semester. Suzanne, I don't know if you want to add anything?
No, I would say the same thing. We do, and I know of several students who have been able to book flights in August now, so that's very encouraging.
I can add to that the campus has been incredibly supportive for helping students to meet this requirement of having, as Teresa mentioned, one course in person.
The next question, what if I am sick before the school officially starts? Do I need to prepare personal insurance coverage?
Barbara, are you going to take that?
I was actually going to ask the date for Boynton insurance coverage, what date that begins.
Well, I'll jump in on this question. Normally, Boynton Health Insurance covers you from, whenever you arrive into the country and check in, usually that's when they in health insurance would start for you. So they're pretty flexible through the month of August, where, you know, when you get off the airplane and you check in, you go through Customs and Border Control. Usually they're going to kick in your health insurance at that time.
So when can we decide on online versus defer?
Well, for those of us in the graduate admissions office, we do not have a deadline for you to defer your enrollment. You know, we process those all the time. For online registration for fall, we do need to know that information before the start of the semester. We do need to make a change to your I-20 record before the semester begins. As I mentioned before, the work that we need to do in those situations is fairly quick for us. So we don't have a hard deadline. You can go, you know, right up to the beginning of the semester if you really need to. But there's no reason to wait either if you have already made a decision. That's now the graduate admissions office. As always, you'll want to talk with your program, and they may want this information from you earlier. So again, as with many of your questions, starting with your graduate program coordinator or reaching out to both of us is always advised.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. Hussein, I'm going to put on the link to the student health benefits website where you can, and it has lots of great details in there. And on the left-hand side, it says, you know, dates and coverage. Technically, the coverage date is August 24th for the start of student health insurance, but they don't expect you to find health insurance coverage for a few days or a couple of weeks. Usually they will cover again right as you come into the United States and to the University of Minnesota. And I just also want to mention that we will have at our next webinar, we will have staff from Boynton Health Services, so they can answer a lot of questions about COVID-related care, more information about quarantine, and then we will also have someone from Student Health Benefits who will also be here at our next webinar. And again, they're just they encourage you to contact them and be in touch with them, and they'll be talking to you at the next webinar as well. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Hussein. Please go ahead.
Oh, don't be sorry. That was great information. Thanks. Next question. F1 visa interview slots are not open in my home country, so I will be traveling with a valid H4 visa. Do I need to wait any minimum period of time in the US before applying for a change of status from H4 to F1? And are there any risks involved with this approach?
So when someone applies for a visa and then they are making their entry into the US, the Customs and Border Protection officer is going to be asking questions about what your purpose is, what are you going to be doing? And they want to know that whatever visa you have is the appropriate visa for your activity. And so if you come in on an H4 visa, the assumption is that you're the spouse of an H1 and that you will be doing things that a spouse would do. If you then immediately try to change your status after entering the US, that could appear that you did not, you were not truthful about your intent for the purpose of being in the US. So in general, we say do not apply for a change of status within 60 days of having arrived in the US. And if you have the flexibility to wait a little bit longer with that, we would suggest that you do that so that there's no question about did you enter the US on the appropriate visa.
So for Suzanne, can you please clarify who needs a new I-20? I'm a Canadian citizen who is attending dental school in August. I got my I-20 back in April.
Yes, so we will, we are issuing new I-20s to all new students. There has been some conflicting information coming from CVIP about whether we need to issue new I-20s or not. But we are going forward with issuing new I-20s. And actually I should say update I-20s rather than new ones. All we are doing for this update is adding a remark in the remarks section of the document. And then scanning and emailing that copy to you. There's no hard copy that needs to be mailed, so there won't be any delay for shipping or anything like that. Now, as a student in the dental school, it's possible that you received your I-20 from our office, or it's possible that you received your I-20 from ISSS. If you're entering an MS dentistry program, or I don't think there is a PhD, but you would have gotten your I-20 from us. If you're doing a DDS program, you would have received your I-20 from the ISSS office. So you can look at the signature section on the bottom of the first page of your document and see who signed it, and then reach out to that office to get an updated version.
And so the next question is related to that as well, Suzanne, so I'll just ask you, could you repeat where we can find in our I-20 whether it's updated that the program is hybrid?
Yep, so this will be closer to the bottom of the page in the lower half of the document. There is a section that says remarks, and it is normally an empty text box about that big. And if your I-20 had been updated, you would see a statement there that reads something along the lines of the University of Minnesota is operating a hybrid model for enrollment for fall semester. And a little bit more there too. So if that remarks section is empty, you need a new document. If there's a remark there about hybrid enrollment, you are good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, next question. Are we able to work remotely and get tuition waived as well as get our stipend?
I don't know if Suzanne or Barbara would like to answer that question.
I can jump in, and then Suzanne, if you have additional information to provide, that would be great. Right now, the University of Minnesota is working diligently to come up with an approach to have students be able to be employed with the fewest number of exceptions. We know this is a critical component for graduate school, not only for the financial benefit, but for the experience. There are a number of important regulations that need to be overcome in order for that to be successful. So please stay tuned for information from the university about those employment options. Secondly, some of you are asking questions in regards to the funding that you have received from your department. And I encourage you to be in contact with your department directly about the impact of that funding. Departments are working very hard to come up with ways to support you. And so those are going to be answers to be received at the individual department level. Anything to add, Suzanne? Okay, thank you. Next question.
If I have no symptoms after arriving, will I be able to complete ISSS checks and other procedures before finishing the 14 days of self-quarantine?
In regards to quarantine, I want to note again that additional information in a Q&A format is being prepared for students. Please know that as the university was preparing for fall semester and not knowing for certain whether that would be online or hybrid, in person, the university has responded by preparing orientations and the preparation for fall campus by making most of that available online. So when you arrive and are quarantined, self-quarantined, you would still be able to participate remotely in the orientations. And I think there was also one other question in regards to, which countries you're arriving from and does that impact quarantine? And I very much respect this question, respect how much countries have been able to respond to COVID in really successful ways. It is the case that the CDC is making this guidance for the self-quarantine. And so it's coming from the CDC, it's coming from the notion of travel itself being an activity that increases the opportunity to get COVID, unfortunately. But again, more information will be coming out about the guidelines for self-quarantine.
Next question, and this one is maybe a little specific. Can there be plans for starting us in the spring semester for an MS in the Department of Pharmacology because of the pandemic and global visa restrictions? Currently, the only option is to start in fall 2021.
Yep, that is one of those departmental deferral policies that you'll need to reach out to your graduate program coordinator to determine. It is true that many programs do not allow students to start in spring semester, but many are also being flexible with those requirements. So graduate program coordinator, once again, director of graduate studies too, may also be able to advise on that and make a decision to waive what is a standard requirement for the program. But unfortunately, it's not something that we can answer.
Is there a last date to defer?
Again, for our office, no. If you simply do not enroll for fall semester and in November contact your program and request a deferral and they approve it, we will process it. So again, you should be in direct communication with your department about your plans, but there is no university-wide deadline to request a deferral.
If we defer to spring semester, will the fall courses be available in the spring term?
Yeah, this again falls under the bucket of courses, course availability, course registration. We have, I think now 250 different academic departments, so we could probably give you 250 different answers to that question if we knew them. So again, graduate program coordinator, program website is the best place to get that.
So I'm gonna pick a question that is a little different. Greetings from China. All consulates in China are still closed. Some of us students are seeking to apply for visa in other countries such as Cambodia. The majority of Chinese students are still quite desperate. Do you think the option works?
I will go ahead and take that question. In general, when students are thinking about going to a third country to apply for their visa, the level of risk goes up. And I can't tell you exactly what all those risks are, or, you know, is it a 50% chance risk? One of the things is there can be delays if they're doing any kind of security clearance. And so it's a possibility, but it's not something we generally recommend. And also, given the fact that this is almost the start of August, you know, if there were delays, I think it would create some additional problems. So our recommendation would be to probably not go to a third country.
There have been a number of questions asking about traveling into the US after the semester has begun, or what is the last day that a student can travel to the US. So Teresa, could you please talk about when the last time a student can enter the US for the fall term?
So this is Suzanne's favorite bucket. It's really going to depend on the department. Some departments you need to be on campus right at the start. Some will allow you a few days, and some maybe a week or so. So the best thing is really to contact your department, talk to them about what you envision your timeline will be, and have a discussion about whether it's realistic to then still plan to come to the US for the fall.
Can I add a little bit to Teresa's response? I mentioned this before, but you want to be looking at the program start date on your I-20 document. If you have a graduate assistantship offer, your program start date will be August 26th. If you are self-funded, your program start date will be September 8th. And so if you think that you might be able to arrive with early in the semester, but after that program start date, as Teresa mentioned, the first question goes to your department to ask them whether they will allow you to come in later than your I-20 indicates. If they approve it, you will need to get an updated I-20 document from us. The Border Patrol officer will be looking at that program start date when you fly into the US. So we just want to make sure that that start date is not in the past when you are crossing the border. So just keep that in mind, that even if your department tells you it's fine to come in and start your program on September 12th or 13th, you do need to work with our office to get an updated document.
Would there be any problems to apply for I-9 if I'm late for the start date of the teaching assistantship? Is anyone?
So I'll go ahead and take this. You will need to complete the I-9 process by the first day of employment. So whatever date you're able to do that I-9, that would be the date that you would be able to start your employment.
So I just want to do a quick time check. It's 9:03 for us. And so I want to just check in. We've gotten amazing questions, obviously a very, very complicated time right now. And we are going to be doing another webinar on next Tuesday. And so I think what might be helpful is just to have maybe the panelists check in again about, are there key messages that you want grad students to take away, especially if there are reiterating who are the people that they should be reaching out to about what topics. I know that we have a lot of questions still remaining, and I do think also if you have any websites, you can also put those websites into the chat as well. Like for example, if your office has a frequently asked questions page, I put it in the, Barbara, I did put it in the SafeView website as well. And we can also put these in, we will follow up with the email to all of you, and we can put in there some of the key documents that you may want to look at, or the key contacts. So we can do some follow-up as well. So I'm just gonna do a quick checkout with everybody. I know there are a lot of questions, but this isn't the last time you'll be seeing all of us, and so we can continue to have these conversations. And again, having each person share, like, hey, if you have these types of questions, definitely be reaching out to these people. I will start by saying it was really great opportunity to be with all of you, and to see where each of you are at and what the questions are for you. I will, on behalf of Boynton Health Service and the Boynton Student Health Benefits, I know particularly for student health benefits, they're planning on having students check in with them. They need to know what your situation is and what questions you have, so they make sure that if you're not going to be here within the United States, that they aren't going to charge you for health insurance or whatever your situation might be. So you can feel free to reach out to them individually, either through email or a phone call, and they will be here at the next webinar. So let's just do a quick round of checkouts. Dean, do you have anything that you want to reiterate from the webinar today?
The people to support you. So I just put that in the chat. You should have at least one, looks like two, maybe links to find your grad program coordinators, again, using our directory page. And then Suzanne and Jim and their emails, Suzanne Korgalu, Jim Rowan, also in the chat there as well.
Great. Suzanne, anything to add from your side?
No, I was just scrolling through some of the questions in chat, and I encourage all of you who weren't able to get a specific answer to your question to please do read the FAQs on the ISSS website. Many of those questions are answered there. There are also FAQs on the graduate school website related to some application and admissions issues. So encourage everyone to look at those as well. And then, yeah, as Dean mentioned, please feel free to email me and my colleague Jim with questions specific to your situation.
Great. How about for you, Nuru? Anything that you want to reiterate from our time together?
Yeah, just encourage you to attend next week's webinar, where we will focus on resources to help you be successful, and to look for emails that I'll be sending you to help you prepare for your graduate journey.
Great. And on the ISSS side, I mean, saying you asked a lot of questions but you didn't have a chance to answer any of those questions, but is there anything that you'd like to share from your perspective?
Just that there are quite a few advisors at ISSS, and all of us really enjoy talking with students, and we enjoy answering your questions. So if you ever do have any immigration questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So that we are working diligently remotely from home. We're answering a lot of emails and we're making a lot of phone calls. And so I really want to make it clear we are available for you. So please, if you have questions, ask us, and don't be afraid to ask what might be a question you think is simple, because often it's not as simple as it first appears.
And Hussein, can you just mention, email, and can you say a little bit about if phone calls, what if someone is international? How do you set that up so that they can talk with you?
Well, that's a great question. We have created a system to request phone calls, and on that system, you can indicate if you are inside the US or outside of the US. If you are outside of the US, then an advisor will send you an email to set up a Zoom call. So then we're able to connect. And also, if you are inside the US and you would prefer to have as face-to-face a meeting as possible, you can request to have a Zoom meeting, and an advisor will email you and set that up.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful. And let's see, Teresa, you've answered a lot of questions. And if there's anything that you want to reiterate?
I just want to mention again the issssnew@umn.edu email. And as Suzanne mentioned, frequently asked questions on the ISSS webpage. I think that lots of the information will be there for students.
Great. I think we definitely having a follow-up email with some of these key contacts might be helpful for people. And we're going to close it out with any words of wisdom from our fearless leader, Dr. Barbara Kapler.
Thanks, Beth. I think all of you are the wise ones here. I think your questions really reflect how much you're working to get through this situation, and we appreciate those questions. And I hope that you understand that you are not in this alone. We are working to support you and to get your questions answered. Before we sign off, I want to thank everybody here this morning in Minneapolis, for being here, for sharing their expertise. We have fantastic staff, both in graduate admissions and ISSS and throughout the university. So we send you off with great support. And again, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinars. Take good care.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nope, just take good care, everyone.
So we'll go ahead and we're going to end the session. But again, this is recorded. So if you weren't able to catch some certain information, you can rewatch it, you can share it with others, and we'll be following up with the email as well. There is one thing. Can you, Anna, can you share the SIGs page? I did have a slide for the Council of International Graduate Students, and I wasn't able to find it at the time I needed it, but I did. I mean, these are current international graduate professional students who want to provide a space for you to come and talk with them and meet them. So we will include this in the follow-up email as well, but they're really excited to meet you. They know it's been a really tough time, and learning from their experiences would be a really great thing to do as well. So with that, I think we will close it out, and we hope to see you on August 4th for our next webinar. Thank you, everyone.